Hey guys, welcome back. So I decided to start looking at C++ in Unreal Engine, and while it's kind of trivial to install Visual Studio Community, I thought I would show a few things anyway, because I actually had a few issues with it to begin with. So I wanted to mention a few of these things and see if I can show what happened, and it's not necessarily possible for me to recreate everything I had problems with, because I actually had quite a few issues with it. But one thing, you want to search for Visual Studio 2015 community and go to this link here and click this free download here. And that's going to start the web installer here, which popped up on the other screen. Okay, so there's going to be a few waiting times in this. So just wanted to mention that upfront, that I'm going to pause the video a few times during this. But actually, one thing I might as well mention before we do anything, which I had a few issues with, because apparently I had something installed beforehand. Is that what you want to do is to start up your control panel and go to Programs and Features, and make sure that if you have something already installed, which I had from somewhere else, like these two here, then what you want to do is actually to cancel your installation first, and then make sure that go away. These two guys here are being uninstalled first. And I don't know if this is a standard or what, but what happened is, for me a few times until I figured out what was wrong, is that it's saying that something is installed already, and I need to reboot my computer and then try again. And when I read the message a bit closer, I could see that it's actually saying that I have it just in a different version installed already, and then I have to start all over again. And that's like 5-10 minutes wait just to retry this. So anyway, you might as well save you that time and make sure that you have whatever C++ 2015 redistributable uninstalled before you do this. And then you can retry this installation here. So let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to choose custom, and that's actually what you want to do, because otherwise you won't get the C++ option. So under programming languages, you want to select Visual C++, and then press next, and then press install, and then we need to wait. And one thing to note, I'm using Unreal Engine 4.13.2 at the moment. And that means that we need to use Visual Studio Community 2015 in order to work with C++ inside Unreal Engine. I believe it was Unreal Engine 4.10 or something. Up until then, we needed Visual Studio Express, I think it was called, 2013. But yeah, I haven't tried that, so I actually honestly don't really know. But that's just one thing to note. So we're just gonna let this guy run, and I'm gonna get back to you in a moment when it's done. So I'm just gonna pause the video and resume when it's done. Once it's done. All right, there we go. So I'm just gonna hit launch and see what happens. So we get a web page. Okay, just gonna close that. And then we have Visual Studio installed, and it's going to do some scanning and something which I have no idea what is. And that's actually it. The way I could tell that something was wrong was that when I started Visual Studio the first time, I was trying to just click somewhere on the screen, and and it's actually saying something is not installed, probably because configuration, blah blah blah. Activity log. I honestly have no idea what this is. So anyway, what happened was that when I clicked somewhere on the screen, it would say this Windows error sound, and I couldn't basically click anything, and I had to bring up my task manager and then I killed it like this in order to do anything. So that's just a little note about that. So anyway, I should also mention that I actually have no, or very close to no, C++ experience. So I'm going to be taking this really slow because I am going to be learning C++ all the way from the beginning. I do have some C# experience and actually some Visual Basic, old time Visual Basic experience as well. But yeah, that's a long time ago. So I'm just starting up Unreal Engine now. Just see if I can figure this out. So contrary to some of my other videos, I'm going to be doing this in more like a diary kind of fashion. So it's not going to be like a tutorial kind of video, but it's going to be me sharing some of my experiences with this. Okay, so I'm going to be creating, I think, I'm used to creating these third-person, where is it now? Third-person examples. And you will notice I didn't pick the C++. I'm just going to be picking the normal one. So I don't honestly know what the difference is at this point because I haven't tried it. So anyway, this is just what I'm gonna do. So I figured out that you can pick new C++ class here, and this is the parent class, and I believe this is kind of the same once you create a new blueprint class, where you can also select an actor, pawn, a character, whatever, and you can also expand this one and say I want this just to be a plain inheriting from a plain object. So I guess that selection is kind of the same. So usually what I pick when I create a new blueprint is just to select actor here. So I'm just going to leave this my actor as the same and then create class. So now it's doing something behind the scene, and it's going to add a lot of stuff that I probably don't understand. And most of it I'm actually just going to be ignoring. And I believe you can read about this and watch videos otherwhere about what all this stuff means. But yeah, since I'm not really suited to explain all that stuff, I'm actually just gonna ignore it. And it's just the way I kind of learn things, that if I have something which I don't understand and is not really necessary to understand at this point, then I actually just ignore it. And it tends to work just fine for me. I mean, I can get quite a bit of a way with this. So let's see what happens here. It's doing something. Okay. So hopefully you're going to get something like this. The first time I did this, I actually had to uninstall this and install it again, and in order to record this video. But the first time I got this, it said it was unable to load the project up here, and it was also saying unable to load project here. So it was actually not working, and I couldn't figure out what it was. So I ended up uninstalling everything that seemed to be related to Visual Studio in any way. From the control panel, program and features, everything I uninstalled. Actually, a lot of programs ended up breaking, but eventually when I installed Visual Studio again, it did work. It was kind of fantastic. So this is actually the point I'm at now. So I thought it was a good time to record this before I kind of got too far ahead and didn't want to go back again. Anyway, so we have a C++ and we have a header file, and as I said, I'm not used to working with C++, so I'm only used to C#, and we don't have header files in C#. So all this stuff here is, if you're familiar with C#, well, you might be in a similar situation as me. So if you are, I'm just, for me, I'm just going to ignore this and really just see that I have some function definitions or method definitions in here. And for me, coming from C#, I tend to view these as kind of the same as an interface, but it's not really the same, but I guess it can be seen that way. And by the way, the reason why I'm talking is because it's doing this parsing files in solution here, so I'm actually just stalling. But that's actually what is going to happen the first time you open this one up. It's going to do things down here to begin with. So you need to let it run all this stuff here in the background before you can. Well, you can do something, but things like the IntelliSense is not going to be responding that well. So anyway, this is the header files. I'm just going to ignore that for now. And inside here, we have the begin play and we have the tick, and then we have the constructor up here. And the constructor is kind of the same as we have when we create, if we do something similar in creating a blueprint actor in here. Let's call this, actually, so we can figure out what is going on here. Call this my BP actor and open that one up. And then you can see we have the construction script and we have an event graph. And if we just delete that one, then we have something very similar to what we have in can we do something like this? Yes. So we have a begin play and we have a begin play here. Oh, fuck, where did it go? We have the begin play and we have an event tick and also a tick here. And then we have the construction script here, which is what we have here. So that's kind of the same things we have. So I'm good just because I'm used to working with blueprints in Unreal Engine. So I'm trying to figure out how things look in C++ when I'm used to blueprints, because I kind of want to do the transition going from doing some things in C++ and then still be able to do things in blueprints, of course, because that's way faster for me. But sometimes I run into situations where I have something I want to implement, but apparently that is not accessible in blueprints. So I need to write a node myself, and I really need to figure out how this stuff works. So anyway, if we just maximize Visual Studio again here, and a few things to get a habit of is compiling, and I usually just press Ctrl-Shift-B, and it's just gonna be doing a build solution up here, and build succeeded, and well, that's actually it. So, well, I guess this is the super basic first things just to get running. So you have something where you can start experimenting with, and I'm gonna be taking a look at this in a little bit more detail, doing some very preliminary things, but I wanted to cover the installation and yeah, just explain how I do things. You also notice one thing up here. I have a menu item called VCMD, and that is something you might not have. And if we go to extensions under this here, and you're gonna get this window, and it says UE4 Smarter Macro Indenting. And if I just turn this off for now and close this, and we do in the header file U property, like this. Like this, and do a bool, like this. Then you're gonna see it's doing this indentation constantly, and you may not want that. I mean, I don't. And so in case you don't want to constantly do that, what you need to do is actually, I'm just gonna find that I have a link to it, and I guess I can mention how I install that as well. Let me just find it. Okay, so there's a guy called Hackalize who wrote a Visual Studio extension to fix this. Just copy this link in here. I'm just going to put this link also in the description. Actually, not this one, but this is where I found it originally. So what he says is that you need to download first Visual Commander, I think it's called, from this link, and that's the first link I'm going to be putting in the description. So it's a free Visual Command or something. That's what is going to give you this VCMD menu up here. And once you have that, it's fairly easy to download. Since I have already did that, I'm not going to be doing it again. I think what I did was to scroll all the way to the bottom and say download now. That was, yeah, might as well do it. It's a very small file. So run that. And it's gonna run this installer, and it says it is already installed. So anyway, but you're gonna get a list of Visual Studios, and if you only have one, then it's gonna be that one. And then you're gonna install it and restart your Visual Studios. So then you're gonna get this VCMD command up here. And after that, what you want to do is go to the second link I have in the description, where you're going to get this. This is the guy that did it, and awesome job. So as it says here, it's designed to fix unnecessary and annoying smart indenting. So what you just need to do here is to download this as a zip, and then, yeah, let's just do it. That. Just gonna drag it into my desktop here. Get it here and extract. Here, here, here. Oops. And that's the VCMD here. So what you need to do is to go to your VCMD and then do an import. And since I put it on my desktop right now, I'm just going to show you how I did it. You want to navigate into that and then select it and open it. And that's basically it. So once you have that, it's not going to do anything. So after that, you want to go into your extensions and then turn this one on, and then you can close it again. So once you do another one, you probably this and type int my something like this, then it's not going to indent it. That's really handy, I think. Another thing that is kind of trivial, but it's a nice thing getting used to, is constantly pressing Control S, which is going to say it's just Visual Studio shortcut, but just save whatever you do, or Control Shift S. It's going to save everything. So if you do a change, as you can see up here, and do a little change here, pushing Control Shift F is going to save everything. Just a good habit to get into in case something goes haywire and you need to recover from that. And yeah, of course, having source control is even better, but I'm not going to go into that in this video here. But anyway, I hope this is going to be useful for somebody coming completely from the beginning, like me, and trying to figure out how to even get started with just getting the environment up and running, and then we're going to take it from here. So I'm going to make a few videos going day by day. I'm doing some other things in the meantime, so it's not going to be working with this every day, but I'm going to be calling them day 1, 2, 3 as I progress with this. So I hope this is going to be useful for somebody, and see you later. Bye bye.